Thank you for having me again today.
Thank you for being here. Today, I'd like to ask you in detail about the succession problem. The succession problem is talked about in every industry now, but is it also becoming a major issue in the horse industry as well?
Yes, it certainly is. Especially with breeding farms, the smaller they are, the harder it is to find successors or even people to work there. Most of those small-scale breeders operate as sole proprietors, I believe. The next generation, like their children, are often anxious about the future, so many of them get jobs at regular companies or move to the city. So it's quite difficult, even though horses are selling well right now, and the number of horses produced has been increasing since it hit rock bottom a while ago. The succession problem for breeders is actually quite serious. Well, I think a lot of breeders will disappear in the near future, so it's definitely a problem. This also applies to training farms and, of course, horse transport companies as well. For example, the companies that I often do business with and the partners who help us out as reliable contractors are all important to us. There are places with the skills and techniques that we need to maintain long-term relationships with, but I'm very conscious of whether or not they have a successor.
Even before you start doing business?
Beforehand, and also after we've started working together. If I realize they don't have a successor, I have to start looking for a new partner. I'm very mindful of that. Well, some farm owners might also be worried about whether these transport companies have successors or not.
I see. So whether there's a successor is one of the criteria you use when choosing a business partner.
After all, the people involved in horse transport need very specialized skills. If we rely solely on one place and they suddenly say they're closing down, we'd be in trouble. That's the concern.
What should those kinds of companies do then?
What's being adopted a lot lately is, well, M&A or mergers and acquisitions. Small farms without successors are sometimes absorbed by larger companies, including their land, and then utilized that way. I think it's a matter of supply and demand. You see, with pasture, the nutritional value can vary completely depending on the soil.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, if the grass in a certain area isn't good, it might be dropped as an option, things like that. If it's a good location and easy for existing staff to commute to, then a buyer will likely step up and sellers without successors can find someone to take over. That does happen. It's not like everything always goes smoothly and not every farm can be sold either.
Well, if a farm can't find a buyer and has no successor, do most of those companies end up closing down?
That's right. There are many who are going out of business, and that number will likely keep growing. Taking over means taking on risks. Being an owner is mentally taxing, and there are financial issues to manage. You also have employees to look after and protect. It's true that there are significant hurdles to overcome when taking over as a business owner.
Yeah, that's true. I imagine there's a huge mental barrier to buying and entering a farm with no successor when you lack the necessary know-how.
Exactly. Even if someone truly empathizes with the current owner's vision or is genuinely interested in the industry and wants to take over, if the person at the top of the farm is currently too old, then they might worry that the window for transferring skills and know-how will be too short.
Are there many people at that stage now, already quite elderly?
Yes, there are quite a few people in their 70s and 80s.
So they end up wondering what to do at the very last minute.
Right? The reality is they often haven't given it much thought, just planning to keep going as long as they're healthy. And there are probably some who intend to just let it end with their generation. This isn't limited to farms, it's the same for any company. In many small and medium-sized businesses, owners only start looking for a successor once they reach a certain age or experience health issues. That's a very common scenario. I'll be 45 this year, but I've already been looking for a successor for several years. I intend to train someone because you never know what might happen even if you're young. Yes, it definitely takes some time to properly train someone, and I want them to be able to take on management roles while they're still young and tough. People really grow by taking on more responsibility. It's a demanding job, both mentally and physically.
For the employees too, it's more reassuring to have someone they've worked with for 10 or 15 years become the next president, rather than someone who's only been there a year or two.
A professional manager might be able to adapt to a new industry, but most small businesses don't have the resources to bring in someone like that.
Is there any other way to solve the lack of successors for those in their 70s and 80s besides M and A?
We need to further develop this industry. Although the population is declining nationwide, we must make the Hidaka and Iburi regions more attractive and revitalize them to draw more people. Unless we raise awareness of this industry, solving that problem will be difficult. Even if you learn that such an industry exists and that these problems are real, the hurdle to actually taking over a business is still quite high.
From there, if you think about working on a ranch without any experience, you need physical strength, right? Real physical stamina. Plus, there are several psychological hurdles like moving to Hokkaido or near a ranch. I honestly think it would take a lot of time. Is it even possible to work on a ranch with no experience?
Oh, I think there are actually quite a few people like that. There are many who love horses or want to live in Hokkaido, but in reality, it seems quite a few people quit after starting the job and realizing just how physically demanding it actually is.
So that essentially means we need to increase the overall number of workers. I see it's a difficult issue, this succession problem.
But really, even though these problems exist in the world, a definitive solution hasn't been found yet. So it's like an eternal theme, in a way.
It's not something solved easily.
That's exactly why you really can't ever be completely open and just say, I'm actually thinking of closing down. There's always the very real risk that this kind of information could end up leaking out. Owners might say, if you're quitting, I won't leave my horses with you anymore. For example, if I were to tell my employees that I do not have a chosen successor lined up and that I'm planning to quit or retire in just a few years from now, then word would probably start to get around the company from there, spreading gradually among the staff. People would say, oh, but ohe.horseline only has a few years left. We better look for somewhere else. And there's a risk that customers would leave.
Opposite of planning.
Yes. There are positions where you can't be open about having problems, situations where it's okay to share, and others where it's risky. I think there are various cases.
So, if there were someone who wanted to start a ranch now, where would be the best place for them to begin?
Wait, do you mean someone who wants to take one over?
Yes, someone who wants to take over. How do you think someone who's never even touched a horse could reach the goal of taking over a ranch?
Well, I've never done that, so I wouldn't know. I mean, probably... Actually, another thing is that in this industry, many companies and ranches don't even have websites, so their ability to share information is still quite weak.
The information is outdated.
I think that many people in the younger generation would probably decide against a place if it does not even have a website, plus they really cannot even find them.
I think I received a Hidaka ranch map in a booklet before, but that's not being updated anymore, right? That's pretty tough. You can't see it online, there's no latest info, and some of them have already closed or disappeared. So it's like you have to search blindly in the end, right? But it's a long way to go there, to Hokkaido. There are no trains in the Hidaka area either. I feel like that's quite a high hurdle.
Well, that might be true. I suppose the map itself wasn't very well known either.
I think even horse lovers probably don't know about it.
That's true. It wasn't sold in regular bookstores, and I think it was mostly used by trainers when they were looking for new business partners and things like that.
When you say information isn't online, do you mean there are no details about the farms?
Right. For example, even if a search brings up a certain farm, you might not know if they're a breeder or a trainer. If it says training farm, you'd know they do training though.
True, it feels incomplete. People in the industry might know which ones are breeders, but it's hard for the general public.
Exactly.
Plus, you wonder if you can work there or if they're even hiring. I see. There's a lot to be done then.
Well, I really have to maintain, continue, and grow this company properly. And at the same time, I feel that I must do whatever I absolutely can to help people truly get to know and understand this industry in the most genuine way possible. Thank you for watching today.
Thank you very much.
At Ohe.horseline, we are currently looking for drivers. Please check the description below for more details. If you are interested, please feel free to apply.